Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've been grinding chess games online, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The plateau is absolutely real. You play game after game, maybe watch a couple of tactical videos, but that rating number, it just doesn't budge. Well, today, we are unlocking the ultimate blueprint to breaking through that wall. We're talking about bridging the massive gap from being a solid intermediate player to reaching the top 5% of chess players worldwide. Hitting 2,000 ELO is a massive milestone, and we're going to break down exactly, step by step, how you actually get there.
Okay, so let's dive right into this core idea. Crossing that 2,000 ELO threshold means a fundamental shift in how you operate on the board. You literally stop just reacting to individual moves and hoping your opponent blunders a piece. Instead, you start managing a whole complex series of imbalances. You begin thinking several layers deep about pawn structures, piece activity, long-term king safety. It's no longer about setting cheap traps, you know? You're moving from simply playing the game to truly mastering the underlying system.
To get you there, we've got a super clear roadmap. We'll hit 1, the rating ladder, 2, the daily training split, 3, a narrow, deep repertoire, 4, hidden expert skills, and finally, 5, psychological resilience. Let's get into it.
Starting off with number 1, the rating ladder, the skill evolution. So improvement in chess. It's definitely not a straight line. Your focus actually has to drastically shift as you conquer different obstacles. Down in phase 1, under 1,000 ELO, it is pure survival. Your main goal is literally just not hanging your pieces in one move and learning basic functional checkmates like the ladder mate. Then, from 1,000 to 1,400 in Phase 2, you graduate to pattern recognition. You should be doing 20 or more puzzles daily, drilling forks, pins, and skewers until they are totally second nature. In Phase 3, 1,400 to 1,800, the game transforms completely. Strategy and planning take over. You're mastering pawn structures, figuring out the difference between good and bad bishops, and creating long-term positional plans. And finally, Phase 4, that 1,800 to 2,000 elite stretch, it's all about endgame precision. To hit that 2,000 mark, you have to realize the middle game is really just prep for a highly technical endgame where perfectly calculating a king and pawn race makes all the difference.
Moving on to part 2, the daily training split. Consistency beats intensity.
Let's be real. If you have a 2-hour daily study session, consistency will always beat those sporadic 10-hour weekend binges. You want to structure your daily 2 hours exactly like this. 45 minutes completely focused on tactics, 45 minutes on rapid playing practice, and 30 minutes dedicated to rigorous, uninterrupted game analysis. This specific split ensures you're building the exact mental muscles you need in the right proportions without burning yourself out.
Now, during that first 45-minute tactical slice, it is absolutely crucial that you don't just guess the first plausible move that pops into your head. You've got to calculate until the final position is perfectly clear in your mind's eye. To actually do this, experts swear by the woodpecker method. This involves intentionally repeating the exact same sets of puzzles over and over again until the tactical patterns become completely subconscious. You are effectively rewiring your brain to see the geometry of the board instantly. So when a smothered mate or a back rank weakness pops up in a real game, you spot it in 3 seconds instead of 3 minutes. It's a total game changer. And when it comes to that 45-minute playing block, you've got to leave the chaotic blitz and bullet games behind. Look, blitz is basically fast food for your chess brain. It's incredibly fun, it's great for pure entertainment, but it is terrible for actual growth because you're relying on instinct rather than deep calculation. If you want real improvement, you must play rapid time controls. Think 15 minutes with a 10-second increment or 10 minutes with a 5-second increment. This forces you to slow down, practice time management, and actually apply all those profound tactical concepts you just spent the last 45 minutes studying.
Okay, this final 30-minute block is where 2,000 rated players are genuinely made. You must review every single game you play. But here is the golden, and frankly sometimes painful rule. Never use a computer engine first. I know, the temptation to just click that little light bulb icon and let Stockfish tell you where you messed up is so strong. But you have to force yourself to sit in the discomfort of your mistakes. Identify exactly where your human plan failed and actively search for the mathematical solution yourself. Let the engine confirm your findings later. This grueling, totally unassisted process is exactly how you build true, lasting strategic understanding.
All right, let's jump to section 3. A narrow, deep repertoire, mastering 3 openings.
You know, beginners often waste immense amounts of time and energy trying to learn 10 different, flashy openings, just hoping to trap their opponents. But the truth? A 2,000-level player builds a narrow but incredibly deep knowledge base. You literally only need to know 3 specific systems exceptionally well. As white, pick one reliable system, maybe the Italian, the Queen's Gambit, or the London.
As black against e4, pick one solid response, like the Caracal or strictly playing e5. And as black against d4, learn one reliable defense, like the Slav or the King's Indian. By specializing like this, you guarantee that you understand the resulting middle games way better than a generalist opponent ever could.
The massive takeaway here is to memorize the overarching plans, not just the individual move orders. At high levels, your opponent is inevitably going to throw a tricky, rare move at you, sometimes as early as move 4 or 5. If you only memorized an exact sequence of moves, panic sets in immediately. But if you understand the foundational plan of an opening, like knowing exactly what core pawn breaks you need to properly open the center or which diagonals your bishops belong on, you will easily navigate those early surprises. You adapt based on principles, not memory, and that keeps you right in the game.
Moving on to Section 4, Hidden Expert Skills, the Invisible Weapons.
Okay, prophylaxis. This is a massive concept. It's the critical habit of metaphorically sitting on your hands and asking, what is my opponent's threat, before you even touch a piece to make your own move. The reality is, countless games below 2,000 ELO are lost simply because a player got total tunnel vision on their own attacking plan. They get so excited about a potential pawn grab or a knight maneuver that they entirely ignore the glaring fact that their opponent is threatening a one-move checkmate on the other side of the board. Expert players snuff out counterplay before it even begins.
And instead of guessing tactics and playing hope chess for a lucky attacking combination, like a lot of intermediate players do, experts rely heavily on the principle of the least active piece. When an expert doesn't immediately see a winning tactic, they don't force one. They simply scan the board, identify their absolute worst, most poorly placed piece, maybe a rook stuck in the corner or a knight with no forward squares, and they meticulously maneuver it to a better square. Chess is really a team game. When all of your pieces are perfectly active and coordinated, those devastating winning tactics just naturally appear for you. Furthermore, your endgame must be absolutely airtight. Honestly, there is nothing worse, no feeling more frustrating than playing brilliantly for 40 moves, securing an advantage, only to throw away a hard-earned draw or a win because you didn't know basic technique. 2,000 rated players almost never lose endgames that are theoretically drawn. They've spent hours ensuring they know highly specific setups blindfolded, particularly the Lucena and Philidor positions in rook endgames. Mastering these guarantees that when the board is stripped down to the bare bones, you know exactly where to put your king and your rook to secure the half point or the full point.
And finally, Section 5, Psychological Resilience, Enduring the Process.
Surviving this climb requires a very specific, hardened mental fortitude. First, you absolutely must accept the long plateaus. There will be periods where your rating may literally not move up a single point for months at a time. This is totally normal. But perhaps the most counterintuitive yet powerful advice for breaking out of those slumps is this. Occasionally, you should intentionally seek out and play opponents who are rated 200 points higher than you. Yeah, it requires putting your ego aside because, let's face it, you will likely lose. But these stronger players will ruthlessly expose the subtle positional flaws in your game way faster than beating up on lower-rated players ever will.
This quote right here perfectly summarizes the necessary mindset. Stop watching your elo. Focus entirely on the quality of your decisions rather than the number on the screen. If you maintain the daily discipline of tactics, rapid play, and deep, unassisted analysis that we've outlined today, the numbers will inevitably follow. It's just a byproduct of skill. You have to detach your ego from the rating fluctuating after every single game and simply fall in love with the process of making good, principled decisions. And that brings us to the end of our roadmap. I want to leave you with this provocative thought to wrap up this explainer. When you log on for your very next game, will you focus on the rating points on the line or the absolute quality of your decisions? Are you ready to commit to the system and truly master your decision-making? Thank you so much for joining me, and best of luck on your incredible climb to 2000.